Rome was once a republic, ruled by elected senators, not emperors. But what if that system had never fallen? The republic lasted nearly 500 years. Power was shared. No single ruler controlled everything. But Rome kept expanding. And with expansion came powerful generals and ambition. One man changed everything: Julius Caesar. When Caesar crossed the Rubicon River, he declared civil war on the Republic itself. After his assassination, Rome did not return to the Republic. Instead, it crowned its first emperor. But imagine something different. What if Caesar had never taken full control of Rome? The Senate remains powerful. No emperors, no absolute ruler. Rome continues expanding, but under shared political control. Without emperors, generals must answer to elected leaders. But would the Republic stay stable or collapse from internal rivalry? A republic demands compromise, and compromise is fragile. Without emperors, Rome avoids the cult of personality that reshaped its destiny. Power remains divided. Military command rotates between elected leaders. Expansion slows. Conquest becomes strategic, not personal. Without imperial succession crises, Rome avoids decades of civil war. The army becomes loyal to the Republic, not to a single man. But stability does not guarantee unity. Distance strains control. Communication takes weeks, sometimes months. Could a republic truly govern an empire-sized territory for centuries? Perhaps Rome evolves into the world's first large-scale constitutional superpower. Or perhaps internal rivalry slowly fractures the system from within. History tells us empires rise and fall, but republics are even harder to sustain. If Rome had remained a republic, Europe and the world might look very different today. Without emperors, Christianity might never gain imperial backing. Religion spreads differently when no single ruler enforces belief. The Roman military remains disciplined, but politically restrained. No emperor means no imperial palace dominating the capital. Economic policy remains debated, not decreed. Inflation crises might be handled politically, not through imperial edicts. Without dynasties, power transitions become procedural, not hereditary. The Praetorian Guard never gains king-making influence. But corruption could still grow inside a complex republic. Factionalism might slowly divide Rome into political blocs. Provinces could demand greater autonomy over time. Rome might evolve into a federal superstate centuries ahead of its time. Or it could fracture peacefully into multiple republics. Without emperors, the idea of absolute monarchy spreads differently across Europe. Democratic principles might emerge far earlier in global history. The modern world might trace its political systems directly back to an unbroken Roman Republic. But history chose a different path: the rise of emperors. And that decision reshaped 2,000 years of civilization. So the real question is not what happened, but what could have been. History is fixed, but imagination lets us explore the roads never taken. And sometimes, understanding the alternative helps us understand reality. In our timeline, Rome chose emperors. In the alternate one, it chooses institutions. Institutions mean rules that survive even when leaders change. But rules are tested most when fear spreads through a society. One crisis could reshape everything: a massive invasion at the frontier. In the Empire, an emperor commands. In the Republic, debate costs time. So the Republic builds a solution. Emergency powers with strict limits. Command is temporary. When the timer ends, power returns to the Senate. This prevents tyrants, but only if everyone respects the rule. Now, Rome becomes something new, a constitutional war machine. Trade grows, roads expand, ports thrive, stability attracts wealth. With wealth comes influence, and influence always invites corruption. So the Republic strengthens courts to punish bribery and abuse. And for the first time, governors are audited like modern officials. This changes the provinces. Less exploitation, more long-term loyalty. Loyal provinces mean fewer rebellions, but not zero. In Judea, religion and identity still collide with Roman authority. The Republic tries negotiation first, a different instinct than the Empire. Sometimes it works, sometimes it fails, and failure is expensive. To fund defense, Rome reforms taxes, broader base, fewer loopholes. Reform triggers backlash because privilege never dies quietly. So Rome creates a compromise, representation for provinces in a larger Senate. A Roman-style federation begins to form, centuries before modern Europe. With shared power, culture blends faster. Latin spreads without forced assimilation. Education expands. Rhetoric, law, engineering become civic pride. Better administration means better infrastructure, aqueducts, and roads everywhere. Rome becomes less about conquest and more about integration. Citizenship grows. Identity shifts. Rome becomes an idea, not just a city. In the Empire, emperors chase glory. In the Republic, voters punish failure. That creates a new political weapon: public opinion. Now imagine the next turning point, the plague. Disease doesn't care about constitutions. It tests systems brutally. The Republic responds with public health, sanitation, quarantines, water control. Survival strengthens trust, and trust makes reform possible. With stability, Rome invests in science. Engineering becomes a national project. And that changes Europe. Technology spreads through trade, not conquest. Meanwhile, beyond the borders, new powers rise, watching Rome carefully. Rome answers with alliances, diplomacy as a permanent strategy. Diplomacy reduces wars, but it also creates dependence. A federation needs balance, or it tears itself apart. So Rome codifies rights. Citizen protections written clearly, enforced everywhere. This inspires neighbors. Suddenly, republics look possible. Europe's political evolution accelerates by centuries. And without imperial collapse, there's no sudden vacuum for chaos to flood in. That means fewer dark ages, notoriety, and more continuous progress. But even strong systems face one unstoppable force: economic inequality. The Republic tries land reform, breaking up concentrated estates. Elites resist. Protests rise. Politics gets louder, uglier, sharper. To prevent violence, Rome expands representation further. More voices, more seats. That creates something revolutionary: mass politics at empire scale. Now elections become real battles, but fought with speech, not swords. Propaganda emerges, slogans, posters, and rumors, all weaponized. So the Republic creates standards, public records, transparency, accountability. It's not perfect, but it's self-correcting. And that's the point. Centuries pass. Rome remains, not as an empire, but as a living republic. And when new religions rise, none can capture the state completely. That changes global history. Fewer holy empires, more plural societies. Trade routes expand further. Innovation follows money and stability. By the medieval era, Europe is interconnected, not fragmented. And because knowledge never collapses, science accelerates earlier. That means navigation improves and exploration begins sooner. The world becomes smaller faster, and that brings new conflicts. Rome now faces a choice: dominate the world or cooperate with it. A republic that conquers too much risks becoming the empire it feared. So the system builds safeguards again. Term limits, oversight, independent courts. Over time, Rome becomes the model others copy, a blueprint for governance. And the biggest difference is simple: power flows upward from citizens. Instead of one man's will, it's millions of choices shaping history. So, when crises come, they don't end the system, they refine it. That's the hidden strength of a republic. It can bend without breaking. Now return to reality. Rome became an empire, then collapsed. And in that collapse, centuries of knowledge were lost or scattered. But in the alternate timeline, the library stays open. generation after generation. So the question isn't just what if Rome survived, but what would we be today? Because the past doesn't only explain history, it explains how fragile progress is. And maybe the real lesson is this: institutions matter more than heroes.